What's up guys, Josh Olfert back with another video, and today I want to tell you about the worst job I've ever had and how it actually got me into the position that I'm in today. Time to think like an investor. So jobs, they're kind of like that old wealthy aunt that you have that you don't really want to talk to that much, but you know if you don't stop going and talking to her, that monthly check isn't going to show up in the mail. And that's really the thing about a job, is you have to have one. Everybody's got to have one, but we all can bond over this experience of having a job that we absolutely hate. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys about today, is a job that I had that, you know what, started pretty great for all intents and purposes and ended up just becoming horrible and became a catalyst for my movement into another career. But first, what I want to talk about is how I got there. I was trying to get into the investment industry, where I am today, no big deal. And what came of that is I went around and kind of advertised myself in my city. I'm this young kid, I don't want to go to university because I hate going to school and I'm so bad at it, but I want to get into the finance industry where everybody has a degree. So I just start knocking on doors, sending out emails, and I meet with one really great industry professional, kind of became a mentor to me. And he said, all right, well, if you're not going to do the normal thing like everybody else is doing, you can go get sales experience and you can go and do your investment licenses, and then maybe we'll have a look to see if it's something we're interested in. So I immediately thought, oh great, that seems like I have a job offer. Beautiful. I'm gonna go work in sales and I'm gonna take my investment exams at the same time. So that's kind of where the story starts. And I thought, what is the biggest ticket item I can sell at the age of 18 with no experience? I can probably sell used cars. So I decided to try to network my way into a car sales job. Luckily, I had an uncle who got me right into that gig, and he knew people, and he got me hired at a local dealership in my city. So this job was awesome at first, but then it became hell. And the great thing about the job is I was just completely immersed in a new world. By the way, I went to like a pretty conservative school where people were, kind of sheltered to some degree. There wasn't a lot of outside influence. It was, religious and all these different principled topics that you have in a school. And I went into the car dealership. People are swearing like truck drivers. There's drugs being done in the washroom. There's all sorts of crazy things going on. And I know that's not common of all dealerships, but that was kind of the story with me. And I was excited, if I'm honest, because I was getting into this process of selling stuff and, learning to deal with people and approach people on a car lot, which is super. Like, if you think it's tough going into a car dealership and buying a car off someone who you know is trying to make money off of you, try being the guy who is selling the car. It's way harder, I promise you. Now, here's the interesting thing. I really loved this job at the start because I felt like I was learning those skills that I needed to have in business. I was learning to negotiate. I was learning kind of the sales process. I was cutting my teeth, getting used to seeing people and all this sort of stuff. It was actually the first time in my life I realized I needed a calendar. Before that, I'd never used a calendar app. I never recorded stuff, but I realized then and there, okay, I'm an adult now. I'm gonna have to start booking stuff in. All these different skills I got. But here's the thing about that business, is every single month, you try your hardest to sell as many cars as you physically can. And by the end of the month, if you have a large number of cars, you get paid more across all of them. It's kind of like this tiered system. The more cars you sell, the bigger the percentage you get. And what I slowly realized is that every single month, I was gonna start back at 0 cars. So I could have a great month, but then come the first, you're a nobody. You gotta restart and you always have to rebuild. By the way, you've maybe heard of this whole like fun sales thing, like sell me this pen. Like someone gives you a pen as like an interview and like, sell me this pen. The whole thing about sell me this pen, someone says, hey, sell me this pen in a job interview or whatever it might be, and it's some kind of exercise. And here's the funny thing, what everybody does is they say, well, this is a Bic pen, it's got a tip. They start explaining the features. Here's how you pass that test. All the interviewer is trying to find out is, are you gonna ask them questions first or are you just gonna try to sell it? That's the whole pen exercise. And every sales process is just kind of like side tangent. What you're trying to do is learn as much as you can about the person buying, because if you don't know anything about them, you don't know anything that attracts them to the thing. So what you should do is you say, okay, well, how often do you use a pen? Or, what do you use to write? Or what are you currently using? Or why is writing important? You're trying to ask these questions. So by the way, that's how you ace that question. You start asking the interviewer questions about themselves. But eventually all this stuff about selling, and like I said, starting the month back at 0, and it's funny because you'd walk in the dealership every Saturday morning and you'd know you're about to have a strip torn off you because working at a car dealership, and I mean, it is arrogant, but I mean, I'm not trying to be boastful. It was the first time I ever felt like I was on a losing team. Like, I went through high school sports, and like, we always had good teams, and I was competitive, and things were great in those team atmospheres. The car dealership was like, we're always the last place dealership in the province. We're never selling enough. Our managers are always mad at us. We're hiring people that just got out of jail. Like, it's a serious problem. And I, for the first time, realized, okay, every Saturday morning I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna get a strip torn off me. Someone's gonna yell at me for my, I'm not producing enough, and I need to start hammering the phones, and I need to start waving people down. There was one time at the car dealership, this was nuts. I remember I was negotiating with a client. The transaction was about to close, and essentially what happened was I couldn't hold the deal. I couldn't get it to happen. So, the customer walks out of the store, and my manager looks at the sales desk. He's doing this. He's like, what's going on? Like, I thought we had a deal. So I walk up and I said, well, like, we couldn't really match it. I'm like, we'll match it. Go run outside, show them the deal sheet, and get them to sign it outside. And the customer's like getting in their car and they're driving away. And I'm like, they're driving away. And he's like, go on the street and get them. So I run out on a major highway with a deal sheet and try to wave down this customer in the middle of rush hour traffic, looking like an absolute idiot. And yeah, they just drove away. So that was one of the most ridiculous stories of the car dealership, having to run out in traffic to try to save a deal. This is the kind of pressure we were under. And over time, I started to realize, okay, I hate this thing where I have to go into work every day and I'm just getting scolded and I'm not really performing and no one around me is a positive influence and I'm really not getting paid enough for the amount of suffering I'm doing. I remember towards the end of that job, driving to work with both hands on the steering wheel, and I would just recite gratitudes for 20 minutes and I would play my favorite music because I had to get myself out of this mental pit of how much I hated going in. That's where we were at. But finally, thank goodness, I passed my licensing exams to get into the investment industry, and I've get my, year-long sales experience stint. And now I get to go back to that great advisor and say, hey, I've done all the requirements. And what ends up happening is he said, no, we're not really hiring right now. So I go through this whole process of doing all this stuff and don't end up getting a job offer. But I found my way through other connections, a way to get into the business and break in. And I had the sales experience and I learned so much. And I think what I learned from having that terrible job, first of all, more than anything, is I want to have a job that I like. That's super important. And I'm willing to sacrifice some level of income to keep that the case. But I learned some really interesting other things too, which is I wanted to be in a role where I am trying to help the person I'm working with succeed. Because when I was in cars, I felt like it was always adversarial. I wasn't really trying to help someone. I was trying to match someone to their needs and then sell the car for as high of a price as I could. And there's just always this disconnection. You can't build a relationship with someone that's good because your incentives aren't aligned. You're not looking for the same thing. And that's what excited me the most about the career in, being a financial advisor, being a wealth manager, is when I'm across the table from a client, I'm trying to put them in the best place possible. When they have a success in their life, I'm cheering them on. We cheer each other on, and we love that dynamic of trying to help each other become successful. And lastly, I came what I did to do, which is I got comfortable introducing myself to random people. I got comfortable negotiating and all these different things that I needed to eventually have in order to run a successful finance business, a financial advisory company. But anyways, guys, I hope we can bond today over our worst jobs, because we've all had them. That was certainly my worst job, but I would love to hear what your worst job is. I bet between all the people watching this video, we can find some pretty brutal jobs. So drop your worst job ever down below. And also remember to hit that subscribe button, hit like, and turn on post notifications for more videos just like this one every single week. Until next time.